Hi, everyone. So first of all, I just want to check one thing here very quickly. Because we started the stream late, I just want to confirm that we are still live in our Facebook group. Because I had scheduled my stream at 7:30 and we are at 8 o'clock. So I just want to make sure we are live. Can somebody comment?
It's completely Nilesh's fault.
Oh, yes.
No, it's completely my fault. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Otherwise, we'll have to start it again, possibly. Let me just have a look. Do you see the post in the community, Laurel, at all?
Let me have a look, because I
can't seem to find it. But I'm just... So we'll have to probably run another session, which is totally cool. But...
So where would it be? Would it be... Oh, it would be at the top, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yes.
No, I can't see it.
No problem. I'll have to run the countdown again. I'll start another session here. No worries.
Yeah, nobody seems to be commenting about it either, so I guess they're not seeing it.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this is entirely... It is sending data. Oh, yeah. So the YouTube session is live. It is sending data to Facebook, but there is no streaming on Facebook. So totally understandable. I think maybe Facebook is not showing the stream. That's okay. Let me terminate this and we can go live right away. Okay?
All right. Okay.
You can stay on.
I will.
Take on the world. We're gonna take on the world. Standing up tall. We gotta make it our own. No waiting around. Winners would never look down. No one can stop us. We got it. The future is right in our hands. Give it 100%. We gonna take on the world. Yeah, we gotta move. Speaking the truth. Yeah, paying our dues. We making the news. We hitting the roof. No, we don't wanna lose. Climbing and shaking the walls. We gotta break all the rules. We're gonna take on the world.
Hello, everyone. This is Nilesh here, and today we have with us Laurel Papworth. Laurel is a social media expert and a very valuable member of our community. Laurel has her own show as well. Laurel, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. It's Sunday lunchtime here, and I've had my egg and vegetarian sausages already, so I'm happy, very happy.
Excellent. And with that, some champagne as well, or?
Oh, I thought there was something missing.
Are you going to watch the T20 game tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow for you, or today, like Australia
Sunday
versus New Zealand. Yeah. So it will be Monday.
That sounds like it's a sport. I'm not familiar with it, and I don't like sport, so I'm going to go with no.
Oh, okay. It's cricket. It's Cricket World Cup, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, Laurel. So we are talking about OBS Studio. I know you have your own stream, and at the end of the show, I have left a link to Laurel's website. Laurel, feel free to post your link as well in the comments, and I'll put it up here in as well in a second. But Laurel has her own
I don't know how useful my stuff would be for people in the group. I don't know. But I am thinking of doing reviews of some of the social media tools, like just focusing on social media, not SEO, nothing else, just looking at the social media tools. Because people were asking, I saw today, what's Socialmonials like? What Radar like? And I buy them all. I can't help myself. They're my shoes.
Absolutely. And a review coming from somebody who has that domain knowledge is a lot more useful than just it being a review of a tool from somebody who is always reviewing tools, kind of thing, right? So,
well, I think one of the things is we look at everything through a demographic of one, which is ourselves. But then when I have to write reports, for instance, for government, helping them choose which tool to use, I have to put on all their hats. So I can say, this is a good use case, this is a good use case. And normally most people are just looking for something for themselves, so they don't think about, I didn't realize I could do that as well, because I've been thinking about it in a different way. So that's really what I want to bring to my lives and my pre-records. But anyway, waffling now. Sorry.
Very cool. So so we're talking about live streaming, and somebody had asked me a question the other day about live streaming. What can I use, right? So I personally use Ecamm Live, and I love it. Laurel, I know you are a big fan of OBS Studio, so we're talking with you regarding OBS Studio. And tomorrow we have a session around vMix, which is another platform for Windows for live streaming. So we'll have a complete series. These are some of the top streaming platforms. And Laurel, you have used Ecamm Live as well as OBS Studio. You decided to go with OBS.
I've used them all. Used them all.
Oh, you've used them all. Okay.
Yep. And yes, I ended up choosing OBS Project for a number of reasons.
Yes.
But I also want to point out that my background is film and television. So I worked at the Australian Film and Television Radio School over a number of years. I'm actually there as a to teach social media to filmmakers, but as part of it, we're making films and stuff.
Yes.
And just in and out of the film industry, most of my clients are, I've worked on social media campaigns for Pitch Perfect and Les Miserables, the big movies.
Yes.
Heaps of them. And I've also done social media campaigns for TV shows and looking after online communities like MasterChef and Big Brother and things like that. So I have kind of this sort of global television knowledge and working inside studios and things like that. And then my partner is actually a producer, and he's worked for the BBC and the ABC and some other TV stations. So I just want to just remind people, you don't come into the world born with that knowledge.
Yeah.
If I show you stuff, it's because I bought stuff and went, that's shit, and sold it to some other poor sucker or threw it away or whatever, and then try something else for 16 years. So I started recording my own online courses 16 years ago. And prior to that, I was working in building online courses for Cisco Systems and others. So I've always had a good range of quality and not so quality products. So I'm bringing that to the discussion today, Nilesh, not just I don't want people to think, I don't know any of this stuff she's talking about, because I didn't. And what I found really useful is if you go up to somebody who does have the knowledge and you pretend to cry, they help you and they set it all up for you. So there's a little top tip for you.
I'll tell you what, I have I'm very new to all this, right? Like I've learned streaming. I've basically watched everything, learned it myself. I bought the right equipment. What will go with, what do I need? A podcaster? Which mic to get? Should I get a Stream Deck, a monitor? Like what kind of? And I just literally, I've been last 6 months So
Yeah.
I'm very new to this, right? So
okay, so we bring balance to the discussion.
yes.
And again, I'm not an expert. I've just figured out what I need to do to get things done. And even though I have that kind of geeky engineering brain that if it sees a problem, it wants to solve it, even if it doesn't actually make my life better. And I really have to stop that, because otherwise I would end up with 50 cameras and 600 lighting rigs. And, I wonder what this one's like. I would be doing the same thing that I do with LTDs.
Yeah.
I would get everything, except instead of spending $30-$40, it would cost me an absolute fortune. So we can't do that.
I have thought about building like a full-scale studio at some stage with like, multiple cameras and everything, but I'll get there eventually. Yes.
Well, maybe you'd like to see my setup. Shall we switch to the screen, and then I can show the setup and explain why I do what I do and where OBS fits in that I find the other systems don't. So I'd like to show that.
I mean,
as well.
if you want to walk us through some of the gadgets you have and things of that nature, and then what connects
and how it
to
all
what,
works
what's
together.
The function. Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be good. Okay. Just switch to this one.
Oh, okay. So do you want me to
can you switch to the share my screen, and then I can show what's on I'm using my iPhone because it was just the easiest thing to do.
Oh, so can you share the screen on your end? No. Or do you want me to go here?
You do this one. Yeah, this is better if you can.
Okay.
Or do you want me to click share screen? Oh, there we go. So what I do is I have set up a dual monitor.
Okay.
And I have a camera, a Sony ZV-7, and I've been through a lot of cameras, and this is the one I'm currently using, although it does tend to overheat after a couple of hours of zoom in a day. So about 2 to 3 hours I can get out of it, and then the last zoom of the day it starts to overheat.
What camera are you using, Laurel? Is that the Sony ZV-1 or?
Yeah, ZV-1. Sorry, what did I say? ZV-7. Yeah, ZV-1, the first one that came out.
Okay.
I think there's a second one that came out. With the monitor over here, I keep this at normal resolution, and this is all my tracking of when I'm doing a live. I keep my comments on here. I have usually my OBS is over here, so I can see what OBS is seeing before it goes out.
Yes.
And then this one over here, I drop the resolution down to 1280 so that it's very clear when I'm streaming my screen, because that's mostly what I'm doing. I have a Canon G7X down here, little second-hand one, which is fine, but it doesn't have microphone in.
Okay.
So if I'm just doing I have a top-down rig that's behind me. I can't show you that one, but if I need to put the camera top-down, like for cooking videos or something like that, I don't use it for that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Technology, and I use that. Anyway, I don't want to spend forever on this. I've got an audio mixer there because the Blackmagic I'm going to show you is crapper audio.
Okay.
I have a Stream Deck.
Yes.
And I pre-configure all these buttons for OBS.
Yes.
So I can switch, and I'll show you that shortly. And then I also have a Blackmagic. I got all the cables here. And I have camera 1 is my normal headshot that you saw before. So, sorry, just do a cut. That one, yay! And then I have, go to that one, please. And then I cut to that one. And that's the Blackmagic one.
Very cool.
So let me see what else I do here. I have mics coming in and out. One of the things with the Blackmagic is I can also record, I can record if I put a hard drive in here.
Yes.
Every camera and every microphone in ISO. So ISO just means you can cut it later on separately.
Yes.
It's kind of like DaVinci Resolve does.
Yes.
And then I've got a M1 Mac, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have camera controls as well, right? Like you didn't choose to use Blackmagic cameras because with ATEM Mini Pro, you get some camera controls on the device itself, right? For the
Right. Just a second. Sorry, it's going weird. All right, we'll do without the green screen for a moment. So I can have 4 cameras in.
Okay.
And then the reason I want to show this is because I actually run my green screen from my Blackmagic, but we can do it on OBS as well, which is kind of cool.
Very cool.
Okay. So that's what you were asking, if I can have multiple cameras, yes?
Yes. Multiple cameras.
Right, so,
and then you can have, it has 4 HDMI connections, right?
Yeah, I think they're HDMI.
Yeah.
I might have to check that one. But what I was looking at was those cam links. Do you remember the cam link?
Yes,
and
I do have a cam link actually. I have a cam link and ATEM Mini Pro ISO, which has the super source.
Right.
It's the latest model. I haven't used.
Well, what I found with cam link is you can only do 1 camera.
Yeah.
So I wanted something, and if you look at the basic ATEM Mini, it has 4 cameras for the same price as a cam link.
That's true.
Roughly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
And the nice thing with Blackmagic is that it's made by Television Studio company, and they actually have a really good philosophy. They make DaVinci Resolve.
Yes.
And they wanted to democratize home TV studios.
Yes.
So they made DaVinci Resolve free, and then they priced the basic ATEMs at ATEM doesn't stand for anything, which annoys me. I keep wanting to do a backronym and explain what it stands for.
Yeah.
And let me just check this here. Yep. And so, yeah, basically that's it. Let me switch to OBS because that's really what people want to see. They don't want to see all my geeky gadgets and stuff like that. But I did want to explain that I have multi-camera setups. One thing that I haven't said is, if I cut to this one, is I have a ring light up.
The exact same mic as I am using.
Oh, the Rode?
Yeah, Procaster.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Up here, I've got a Loom. I think it's the Procaster. I've got a Loom Cube.
Yes.
And then I have another one on the other side. And I just want to say, oh, wow, they're so powerful. Like for tiny little matchbox lights. And in fact, I've been talking to studio people because we had the big soft boxes. Do you know the big?
Yes.
They're called soft boxes. They're sort of huge, like dome-looking things.
Yes.
Pyramid-looking things. We had 5 of those. It took up the whole room.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good.
And now you're just using a couple of Loom cubes. That's it. But your room seems to have a lot of natural light as well, right? Like does it have a lot of natural light in here?
Yeah. Let me just pull this down. Oh, come on. I've got to stand up. So I have to close the blinds behind me.
Yeah.
Because I have lights. It's a long room and there's lights in front and lights behind.
Yeah.
And I find that I'm either working in a room with too much light and I can't control the lights.
Yes.
Or else I'm working in a dungeon underneath the stairs like Harry Potter. And I'm stuck there as well. We'll leave that down and we'll put the Lifix on, I think, because I want you to see what goes on. And then I have Lifix lights, which are the most powerful lights that I could find that actually make a difference during the day. Like anything will light up a room at night, but during the day it's a bit tricky. I haven't set up the bokeh effect, the fuzzy background effect.
Yes.
But anyway, that's kind of my tech setup. So, I think that's probably. Let me move on to OBS now, so people can actually see what they're paying their $1.50 for. Hey, KC. Nice tidy
So-
room. No, there's
so
a
we have
bin
Lyle,
behind me.
we have Joe, Aditya, and Casey. Hi, guys.
Cool. Can you see that? You probably can't even see that clearly. What I did was, right, let me just talk you through the boxes, and then I'm going to bring in a zoomed in shot so you can see more clearly. This will be too fuzzy for you, but this is where you choose your virtual camera. You set up your RTMP so that it goes to YouTube and your settings. Studio mode allows me to, sorry, I was clicking the wrong thing. This one here, studio mode, allows me to see what scenes I'm cutting to. And I have to keep the virtual camera on so you can see it. And then I can start streaming and start recording. I don't actually use this. I use my Stream Deck. I've put all these buttons on my Stream Deck, and I've also configured the script so that when I'm on my Stream Deck, that's the device on my desk with the buttons, I can basically, I'll have to show you because it won't make sense otherwise.
OBS very memory intensive? Like, does it take a lot of compute resources? I see you're using OBS
it's
on
a little
Mac.
baby. It used to be an issue. I just don't think it is anymore. So let's go to that one and cut to this one. There.
Is it very stable?
Let me just take off
once
Studio.
you start, there is no issues with like stream quality crashes and things of that nature. Works perfectly.
I've never had that. No, I've got one little bug which I'll explain shortly, but no, I haven't had those things. But then I don't update the minute it comes out either, because I don't want to be everybody's little alpha and beta guinea pig.
Yes.
If I need to stream, I press the stream button and it starts the recording button, and they actually light up to tell me that I'm streaming and recording. So it's just, just a thought that we don't need to we don't need to use these. But let me bring this in because I think it's going to be too hard to see if I do it that way. So there's your streaming, your recording, and your virtual camera. Once your virtual camera is running, then you can run OBS into Zoom. And I want to point this out to people because they don't always think about this, but if you use OBS, you control not only what you're live streaming, but also what your host is seeing. So Nilesh is using Ecamm, but I'm controlling what I'm showing. And if I'm an invite into a webinar, or I've been on virtual conferences, I also teach at university, so I get invited to virtual lectures, and they're using Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, or whatever it's called these days, Zoom, whatever they're using. I don't have to sit there and try and figure out how to share the screen, how to put a like one of the things that I like to do is I like to put a strap on with my name.
Yeah.
Because they may not have one, and that annoys me, and I want them to see.
Yeah.
And I get to control the environment. So if I was to come into Ecamm natively, or MS Teams or Google Hangouts, I'm stuck with whatever the host has set up and how quickly I can set things up each time. At least when I've got a broadcast studio set up with the mix of Blackmagic, Stream Deck, and OBS, I know exactly what it's going to look like every time because I control the buttons. Does that make sense?
It does.
I'm just doing a virtual camera.
No. It does make sense. Tell me one thing. Once you have multiple cameras connected into your Blackmagic ATEM Mini, right? Does the machine and then the ATEM Mini, do you stream, like, do you connect it to your OBS? So is your Mac seeing all those cameras as like a single source? Or
right. So that's what I want to show you now. So and that's what I have to do. I have to decide what the Blackmagic's going to manage, and then I have to decide what OBS is going to manage.
Yes.
And when I'm working with clients on setting this up, so for instance, I work with senators and ministers of parliament on town halls so that they can go live into their communities. I make sure that the Blackmagic manages the mic and the cameras, and also the processing power goes into the Blackmagic. Like it doesn't take any additional power off of any other machine to do this. So I just vision switch on the Blackmagic.
Yes.
But if I didn't want to do that, I could add an additional camera in here. So I want to point this out to people because it gets so confusing when I'm trying to help people set this up. A scene, and I've got you can't read it, but it says a talking head scene. That's just me bobbing along. Let me turn the strap off. So this is a talking head.
Yeah.
And then bottom left and top right. Bottom left is me in the bottom, but I know that I'm hidden. So now I have to switch to the top right. And the nice thing is you're not seeing it because this is a screenshot and not actually OBS.
Yes.
But these light up. When I click them on the Stream Deck on the desktop, these light up. So I've got the chat window, so I can just bring up the chat so everybody can read the chat. And that way, and I think I'm on the left-hand side of the chat window. Where's my chat?
And this what's the chat? What's the source of the chat? Is it mostly going to be from Facebook, or are you using?
Well, in this case, it's Restream. Now, because I'm not in charge of this Restream, I can't show it. But you could put, and then I do a layout. You know, the scene is a layout, like your one with where we're side by side, and then we're at the bottom of the screen. So, the thing to remember with scenes is that it's an empty room and that you're the producer of a play or a TV set. I don't care. And you're the props master. You have to bring in the sofa and the table and the lamp and the lights and the cameras and the microphones. And then at the end of that scene, you have to take it all out again and put a new camera and a new mic and new props in. So when I'm trying to explain to people about scenes, each one of these is a different setup in the room. So my screen only, I've got a countdown, I've got a file where I play a video, I've got a be right back message, which looks like that because I'm too boring to do anything interesting with it. And that way, if the phone rings or the postman comes, I can just put be right back and then run out of the stream and go and answer the door and come back, whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
So with scenes, they are a mixture of sources. You don't just have a camera, you've got to have a microphone as well.
Yes.
So as an example, I've got the ATEM, the Blackmagic ATEM microphone is on. Can you see the little eye?
Yes.
And then I also have, if this wasn't a screenshot, but I really wanted people to be able to see it clearly, I can fade transitions. So I can change the transition when I move from scene to scene.
Yes.
So that it's not too abrupt. I have lower thirds. That's those straps at the bottom of this screen.
Yes.
And I also add in audio like clapping, laughing, booing, anything that might be a bit funny. Just some kind of sound effect. And then I have a warning one, which means I'm about to troll everybody. So they get used to hearing the warning sign before I say something very naughty. And then I have all different lower thirds set up. So the social media news one is on, but I can turn it off. I can put social media lectures in, different things like that. Let me go back to actual OBS now. I'm sorry, because it always looks a bit bonkers when you try to show it to people. So that's talking head is Blackmagic head is on. I can't show it. I got to do it here. And oh no, you can't. I won't be able to show it because of that. Okay, never mind. But you can see here when I'm in the top right, it's the Blackmagic camera and the left monitor. When I'm in the bottom left, it's the Blackmagic camera and the bottom monitor. And let me pick this up. I can drag that around and stick me in the middle if I want to. And it will remember my settings. So each scene, I can move the camera around, resize it, and do different things with it. I can also click on it and I can transform it. So I can go sideways. Whee! Whee! Catch me, I'm falling. I don't know what you would use that for, but you can.
yeah. I mean, the whole principles are very similar to any streaming,
Ecamm?
like Ecamm, right?
Yeah.
Or VMix as well, right? Like, so you have your scenes, you have your sound effects, you can add your overlays and things of that nature, right?
Yep. And the nice thing, the reason why I think that OBS suits some people but not others, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for everybody, but I just want to point out you can save profiles in OBS, like different setups.
Yes.
And also you can save different scene collections. So if you know that you're doing a different set of lower thirds and setups for instance, for a Sunday service at church versus what you put out to Zoom for your clients, then I would have one for Zoom and one for church and different things like that. Under tools, you can add in, and this is where OBS comes into its own, like phenomenally. It is the WordPress of the streaming world, in the sense of WordPress bog standard is probably on par with all the other CMSs, but WordPress has so many plugins. It becomes such a nightmare actually to manage all the plugins and to know which ones to use. And it's the same with OBS.
Absolutely.
OBS has, so I have in here, for instance, the deck link is to help me manage my, it integrates the Blackmagic.
And are these most of these paid plugins, or there are a lot of free plugins?
No, free. Please, I'm an LTDer. We don't pay for things. No, I would if I found something I needed to pay for. And NDI, I was kind of thinking of, I think I ended up going with a donationware called Phoebe something. But that's just so that you can run lots and lots and lots and lots of audio streams. And I can play multiple videos and have each one on a separate stream kind of thing, a separate source. But most people won't need that stuff. Scripts is good because you could pretty well set up a live and script a whole bunch of things and then just sit there and monitor it. So it would play video 1, play video 2, pause, put something up on the screen, play video 3. And you go into obsproject.com.
Yeah.
And you go to plugins. Yeah. And then you got the same number of plugins you have for WordPress. And there are so many there, and they're developed by people that run TV stations, as well as just your normal, script kiddies and hackers.
Yeah.
So it's all of that stuff is possible. I think the immense amount of control you have with OBS is the thing that interests me. So when I'm, for instance, in settings and I go to audio, I set up all my mics here, and then I can, on the mic itself, I can do monitoring over here. And then in this advanced audio settings, I can do balancing and all kinds of, you really have full broadcast control over EQ and everything. I just got to say, though, majority of people, including me, don't really need that and don't use it. So one of the reasons why the Ecamm type tools are useful is because they're plug and play in the most obvious way. I've seen people go from Ecamm to OBS because they want more control over everything, and then once they're on OBS, they're like, "Oh, too much," and then they go back to Ecamm, and that sort of balance kind of happens.
So tell me something, Laurel, about the interview mode, right? Like, and this is a topic which I, right now we are doing a conversation in interview mode, and Ecamm allows up to 4 guests plus 1 host. And that's because of certain limitations. I think they're going to look into allowing more hosts. vMix, if I understand correctly, I think it allows maybe 10 guests and 1 host, or maybe 10 or 8 guests and 1 host, something around that nature. Restream as well, it allows, I think, up to 8 hosts in an interview mode, right? What about OBS? How do you do interviews, like multiple guests in a show?
Yeah. Okay. So for me, now what's it called? Let me just see if I can at least show you a bit wide that you won't be able to see it clearly, but we'll see. If I go into sources and I click the plus button, I use the Siphon client, and then I add a Siphon client for each attendee, and then I put in their Skype or their Zoom or whatever, and it pulls it in. It takes a little bit of a setting up, but that will work. To be honest, that's how I used to do it, and I used to get everybody to Skype with me and come in. And now I actually reverse this, and I bring everybody into Zoom.
Yeah.
And then I pump the Zoom feed through OBS, and then the only thing OBS does is then forwards that on to Restream or somewhere else, so that Zoom is handling all of the attendees. I think Zoom only puts 20 on the screen, but if they start talking, then they flip into the screen as well. So that's been useful for our group discussions. Yeah, but basically Zoom is the source.
Okay, that's the question Ruhani is asking. Zoom as source.
Yeah.
But
the problem then, of course, is layout. That Zoom controls the layout, but that's the trade-off that I would make. Yeah. But otherwise, I would just add everybody into as a single, each person as a single source into OBS. I haven't tried to max it out. I don't have that many friends, Nilesh.
Oh, well, you can always count on us and invite all of us. There's quite a few people here.
Yeah, let's set it up. So next weekend we try and break OBS.
We're totally down for that. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest challenge, because I've seen and we have experienced this in I'm using right now just an M1. I'm thinking I'm going to go with the new latest MacBook, whatever that would be, the Pro Max, right? But
what Mac do you have at the moment?
I have the M1 Pro.
Oh, the laptop.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yep. I do. I have multiple Macs. I just do everything on my MacBooks, and then I have one connected here with a monitor, and I use NDI as well. NDI is great if I want to share something and record a video, things of that nature. But I like to have everything on my MacBook kind of thing. So, but
I have a MacBook and the desktop, so that I use both. But mostly because I'm going to be locked into this space with clients. I have everything set up so I can literally just turn on the camera, I turn on the Blackmagic, and I turn on the Mac, and then everything just works. It's so nice, isn't it? Like not having to come in and set all the lights up and set all the cameras up and try and get everything in focus and get the mics working, and we forgot to turn the mic on, and I just have 3 buttons I turn on, and it's just bliss. I'm just discovering this whole Ecamm Live and everything, maybe around last year. In our office, we have a video conferencing system. It's a Cisco WebEx board. And the resolution, of course, the kind of quality I'm getting with my Sony A7S III is far superior, right? But in my office, I use a WebEx board, and it's a 65-inch. It has an HD camera. It's still 720p, So yeah. I wish I had discovered all this back then,
and produce. But as I've seen, as you increase the
I
guest,
have to
for
say
sure.
something that didn't occur to me.
Yes.
And whether I'm going directly, well, I never go directly into Zoom. I always go through OBS. But one of the things I'm glad I've got the four channels, camera channels for my Blackmagic is I have a big iPad.
Yes.
And I switched to that, and that's now my whiteboard because I can use my Apple Pencil
Yes.
and just draw or write or show what a marketing funnel looks like or whatever. And that's really cool because I was trying to think of how to build a whiteboard into OBS so I could switch to the whiteboard. And then it was just like, why don't I just use my iPad?
Yeah. Yeah. And works great, right? I mean, you can share it as a source.
Yes. It's just like I just press a button and it switches the camera from the talking head one to the iPad.
That's
like I was showing the iPhone earlier. Yep.
That's fantastic.
So it's very cool. Yeah.
Ruhani is commenting.
Ruhani wanting.
I had problems with audio when using Zoom as source. So I was like, then each of the guests I need to lay out first. Yes, I think like the best way to do would be to use something like, OBS Studio or Ecamm Live or VMix as your production and then bring that into Zoom. But like Laurel's use case is a little bit different. That's why she's using Zoom as a source. If
he's using Zoom as a source, you could be having problems with audio. And you brought it into OBS? Okay. So the most common errors that I see with students and clients that I'm working with, one is there's a monitoring meter and there's a live meter. And sometimes they're like, I can't hear it. I can't hear them. And they don't realize they haven't turned monitoring on. So they won't hear what's being said because it's being pumped out directly out live. And another one is if you sometimes, depending on how you've set it up, so for instance, if it's Zoom in a browser into OBS, you need to install VB cables. And VB cables pulls the audio from, for instance, the Zoom browser into OBS, because sometimes people play, for instance, a YouTube video through OBS onto Restream and then there's no sound and they can't, and it's usually one of those two things. Either the audience is hearing the sound but they're not because monitoring's not on, or nobody's hearing the sound because VB cable isn't installed and working. You just need multiple audio sources. You can't just rely on your mic to deliver what's playing on a desktop kind of thing. VB cables fixes many issues. Facebook user. Yes, VB cable is the gaffer tape of live streaming. It is the WD-40 of live streaming.
VB cables is like for Mac, or is it for
everything? I mean, it's the same as OBS. OBS runs on Mac, which is Unix, Linux. What's underneath Mac? I can't remember. I think it's Linux. It runs on Linux. And then, how do you say Linux or Linux? I never know the correct way.
Anyway, you can call it. Linux is good.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Linux. And then it runs on Windows, and I'm pretty sure VB cables does as well. And VB cables is, the first one is free, and then if you want 4 audio channels, it's donationware. So I gave them $1. No, I didn't. I gave them like $10 or something for it.
Oh, this is like one of those things from Rogue Amoeba. Have you heard of this company called Rogue Amoeba?
No. Should I? Do they have an LTD?
Rogue Amoeba currently has LTD. They have everything as a perpetual license. They make applications specifically for a Mac. And I'm sure if you go on their website, they have applications.
I think they're like somebody here mentioned Voice Meter Banana, and Voice Meter Banana is, I think it was Windows only, which is why I didn't get it. Do you know Voice Meter Banana? Does anybody else know?
I haven't heard. I'm going to check it out for sure.
It's like VB cables. But yeah, VB cables is the industry standard, and it's the one the TV stations use.
Cool. I'm going to check out VB cables for sure. I think you should check out Rogue Amoeba. They have loopback sound
I will
source, Fargo, some really, really good apps for sure. For
the name does ring a bell. Actually, now I think about it, Rogue Amoeba. I will definitely look that one up.
Yes.
And Ruhani uses Voice Meter in Windows for his mic. Yep, it's definitely for Windows. Almost definitely. Are you watching the T20 final today? Will you stop it with the sports?
Who is that?
I don't know. It just says Facebook user to me. Loopback is the Mac tool like VB cable. Okay. I think I went with VB cable because everybody else recommended it to me, and it was donationware. So.
Oh, that's Lyle. Lyle, yes. Lyle is originally from South Africa. Now he's moved to. He's based in Dallas, so basically, cricket for sure. Yeah, I'm sure he's.
Is Australia playing the cricket?
It is. Yes, they are playing New Zealand in the finals. This is the World Cup finals.
Thank you for the
T20.
Lyle. I'm not turning on the television or the radio today because I do not want cricket, and I won't even go into Facebook because my news feed will be full of cricket. Because as smart as Facebook is, and as smart as the algorithm is, and even though there's an AI that's looking at semantic clusters all the way through the algorithm, it still has not figured out that I do not like sports. And I unfriend anybody that posts about sports. No, I don't. But I want to. Somebody else is in DFW. Was that deep? Fort Worth. Dallas, Fort Worth. Hey, I knew an American thing. That's kind of cool. DFW.
Ruan is like laughing my ass off. Who got scolded?
Lyle. For talking about sports. I don't know if that was helpful to people about OBS.
I think it was helpful. Like, definitely helpful because a lot of people are starting Laurel, and you've been doing it for a while. You use OBS. I think you have a setup which you have a lot of time invested in it, and you have used Ecamm Live. You used. Why OBS? Why did you settle on OBS in the first place? Can you talk a little bit more?
Really,
yeah.
I think it's one of those things that okay, I like open source. I've always been quite passionate about peer-to-peer communities, about the community contributing and getting things out of it, about supporting each other, and it. I before Airbnb and Uber, I thought that was the way that we were going to go. I thought we were going to have a peer-to-peer economy. And what we ended up with was these huge conglomerates controlling our peer-to-peer economy. It would have been so nice if the taxi app was open source as opposed to belonging to Uber. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the world would be a better place if we had true peer-to-peer economies, and a little bit like how algorithmic based currencies work, the Bitcoins and the altcoins in the space. It feels freer. It feels like we're not being trapped into an algorithm that's controlled by a dark force that we don't understand. And, the more you dig into big data and that sort of thing, the more scary it does become. At least me. Maybe I'm just terrified of everything. But so in some ways, one of the things I like about OBS Project is that feeling of an open market. In some ways, WordPress has the same thing. I mean, I know that Matt from Automatic owns WordPress and all that kind of stuff, and he was extremely dictatorial in the first few days of WordPress. I don't know if you remember when WordPress first launched, but
yes,
Matt was not such a nice person then. And he really tried to shut down, I think it was Thrive and there were a number of themes he tried to shut down because they were charging for the themes and he wanted everything to be free. But I think he eventually realized you can't have everything free because people are investing time and energy into building, little nuggets of things.
Yes.
With OBS, there are paid for plugins and non-paid for plugins, but they also all contribute together. For instance, there's filtering. So you can take your camera and you can add all kinds of, so you can take your OBS and you can add to it all kinds of contrast and brightness and green screens and have absolute control as if it's a TV station over what's going out.
Is it pretty intuitive to use? Like, I mean, can somebody who's a novice can figure it out like over a weekend? Or that's something which...
Oh yeah, on a weekend easily. I've tried to teach people who are, and this is kind of interesting, and maybe it's just my observation, so I don't want to get anybody offside, but I tried to teach some people who are in the creative space. They're actually filmmakers and they're very visual, but everything has to be physical for them, kind of thing. And they really struggled with OBS because you've got to bring that geeky, analytical brain. I actually think that the LTD community will be fine. Because anybody who buys an LTD and says, where's the manual? Where's the walkthrough? Where's the onboarding? I don't understand. They don't last very long in LTD because 9 times out of 10, you boot up an LTD and you realize there is nothing there and you have to figure it out yourself and you have to smash things together and hack this and do this. And, I was thinking the other day about SPAE doesn't have any documentation, so I used Looped. I bought one of those lifetime Looped deals. Is it Looped or Looped in? Looped in, I think it is.
Looped in, yeah. It's pretty
Looped
good.
in. We created our own community to put all the little bugs and tips and everything we found because we couldn't get anything out of them. And the same with SPAE. We've got our own little SPAE community now so that we can document things as we go along and on how to make them work, because that's the whole point with an LTD is often it's first in field, it's trial, it's beta testing, and it doesn't have the documentation. So in my mind, I think the community will be fine with OBS. I wouldn't give OBS to my mum. I would give her Ecamm or just show her how to set up basic Facebook Live. But I think for the rest of the world that likes to get a bit geeky, add some plugins, make things work, make things better. Oh, I wonder what happens if I do this. OBS is absolutely perfect. You can break it to your heart's content.
That's good to hear. I mean, because a lot of people, and I mean, streaming is a whole another ball game. To start as well, like I'm not going to lie, I wasn't sure, should I do it, should I not do it? And then once you do a few, then you get used to it, you get into the rhythm and it's fine, right? But before I was like, oh, what should I be pressing? Am I doing things right? Like, where's my camera? Where should I be looking at? Where's my mic? And where is my stream deck? And there is a lot to think about, right? But you do a few and you get
I did a whole stream.
Yes.
With no audio.
There you go.
You have to do it once so that next time you stick a big Post-it note which says check audio. And then you won't do it again. Maybe you will. But yeah, I've done that before. So I agree. It's scary to go live. The nice thing is that normally the first few lives, there's very few people watching. But you jumped directly into a group with 11,000 people, didn't you?
Yeah, so it's just
brave.
totally okay, and initially, if you look at my live stream, like, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, right? So it obviously has improved a little bit. I have got a little bit more better in terms of my overlays. Of course, I want to do more, get a little bit more creative. But those are things which are all natural progressions. I think they're not going to happen on the first day. Right. The first thing is a lot of people want to stream So get OBS, and that's the point of today's session. Hey, you know what? Get OBS, go online and do something and get better at it.
In fact, just use anything. Use the native Facebook, use, directly into the studio of Restream or OneStream or whatever LTD you've bought. Download OBS for free. Try some free trials. Just try anything. And I think, Nilesh, you're exactly right. And this is what I've tried to teach people that I've taught OBS to, is that it's iterative. So my first live, I didn't have any straps at the bottom. I didn't have any layouts. I didn't have really anything other than my head talking. And I had problems with the sound, with the audio. So then I found that I had to the first thing I had to do was fix the audio, because people don't look at the screen. In fact, there's naughty people listening to this right now who are doing something else and they're not even watching us.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I right? Comment if I'm right. You're actually playing. You're playing Candy Crush while you listen to us on another screen, okay? I know what you're doing. So audio has to be good. So I spend a lot of time and energy mucking around with audio, because you can go live with your phone. In fact, even you can go live with your phone and then plug a mic into your phone.
Yes.
And the phone visually is more than enough. Like, this is not a camera from like 1990, this is the 2020-ish camera, and it's going to be absolutely perfect. Probably not for a live sports event, but for something like a talking head, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, I had to get the sound organized. And then afterwards I went, oh, what's that little thing at the bottom of the screen called? Oh, lower thirds. I better find out how to do that. What's that thing where you've got the person's head in the bottom and the screen up above them? Oh, picture in a picture. Let me Google how to do picture in a picture. And eventually figured, each one was iterative. It just progressively developed. Casey Wong's being naughty. Can you tell him off, Nilesh?
Oh, yeah, yes, definitely.
He's being sarcastic or smarty pants.
Yeah. Let me get rid of Casey Wong for like a week or something. I'm just kidding. You need
to do a live with him so that we can come in the comments and be sarcastic to him.
Yeah, I think Casey Wong is all like talk and chat there. But I've asked him, hey, do you want to live stream? I've asked him before, a long time back, do you want to live stream? Like, do you want to come on radio? And he's like, no, I don't want to come on radio. Yesterday he commented as well.
Wuss.
Yes. I've asked him a few times, like, hey, instead of expressing just your opinion in comments, maybe you should do a live stream. I've asked him a few times.
I'm shy. That's the biggest fib I've seen on the internet, and I've seen some pretty big fibs on the internet.
Yes. So Casey Wong does not get to call anybody names because he is not coming online, When he does show up, then for sure. Yes.
Come on, Casey. Put your big boy pants on. You got to come onto the stream.
Hey, there is a comment here from Steve. He's saying OBS versus Remix or XSplit Broadcaster. So, Steve, we have a session tomorrow on Remix from Corey Sanders. And Corey has done a lot of different interviews with famous personalities too. So he uses Remix. We're going to get a lot of interesting perspective on Remix from him. I'm not sure, Laurel, if you have used Remix at all or XSplit.
XSplit, yes. Wait, what did I do? I did something really, really stupid. I bought a lifetime deal of XSplit, which was a good deal, and then realized it doesn't work on Mac or something.
Yeah.
So lesson learned on that one. But yeah, I have an LTD on it. And every so often I go back in because they keep saying Mac version coming soon. And I think, yeah, I can use it. And I've had it for years. I don't do they do Mac now? They probably do. I'm probably being a big fibber.
I don't know. Let me check.
That's VCam, if you've ever come across VCam. An XSplit broadcaster. It was the industry standard maybe 10 years ago, like before any of these other things came up. There are currently no plans for a Mac OS version. Bugger. And then they want me to install Boot Camp to run it as Boot Camp to run Windows. And I've got a Mac that runs Windows, but I don't want to set that up. So no.
They do have a lifetime deal though.
Yeah.
XSplit has a lifetime deal.
How much is it these days? I paid next to nothing for it.
It's the premium bundle is $230. Not bad.
Oh, that's a lot more. I think I paid $25. But like I said, it was like 10 years ago and I've been waiting for the Mac version ever since. And what's really weird is, as somebody who comes from TV studios, they're Mac shops. It's like agency land, you know, it's always traditionally been Macs. So even years and years ago, it was a mixture of Macs and then Silicon Graphics. I don't know if you remember SG machines, but they used to do all the rendering of film, and the SGs worked with the Macs. So the film and TV industry has always been Mac, and yet XSplit is not Mac. It's just a weird, probably because Windows has been so unloved that they went with Windows. vMix has lifetime, but it's perpetual. So you have to pay the same price each year. Is that right, Rohani, by perpetual? It's yearly?
Oh, yeah. So vMix has two types of licenses. You can either do a subscription, which is about, I think, $50 a month. And then it does have an actual perpetual license, which is forever. You could do that. I don't know.
But perpetual means that you get that version forever. You don't get upgraded to the next version. That's the difference between LTD and perpetual.
I think you get covered for 3 years, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. When I checked last time, I think it was more than a year of support and upgrades. So,
yeah. So Rohani says that he. Oh, goody! Thanks, Rohani. What a sweetie.
Yeah, Ron is saying definitely helpful, Laurel. I designed a lot of stuff in OBS, but then due to the guest complications, I kind of gave up. But now I'll try again. Whole reason I like OBS, extreme level of control in it.
If anybody has OBS and you can figure out a way to do a call-in show, please let me know. That ability to click on someone and have them come in. So I know it can be done, and I've seen OBS people doing it. But what would be nice would be, for instance, if we could click on Casey Wong and go, come in now, but within the setup, like not having to do it at the broadcast end, but to do it at the OBS end would be lovely, because then we'd have a lot more control. And I know that it's possible, but I just haven't figured it out. And also phone calls in. I've been trying to figure out how. I think you can set up a Skype phone number and people call the number, ask the question, and then you can go live with that. I don't know. But that would be kind of a call-in show thing, you know?
Yes. Laurel, do you repurpose the audio portion of when you do a live stream, right? Like with OBS, does it allow you to save isolated tracks? Like you bring a number of guests and then
in fact, it was an issue with OBS that it wasn't built in natively and you had to add a plugin. Okay. But like WordPress does, it subsumes, stuff into itself. And so the last version of OBS, which is 9, I think, or 10. 27, obviously I'm way out. Version 27 has isolated, it's called isolation, built in. Although I personally would use my ATEM, because I've got the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, and the ISO means isolated. When I plug the drive in, it saves each mic and each camera as separate ones.
Yeah.
And in fact, it integrates the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro ISO integrates fully with DaVinci Resolve. I don't use DaVinci, I use Final Cut. But it will identify each of the ISOs and pull them in, and then it will automatically sync them so that, the mouth and the audio are in alignment with each other, which is always an issue with everything that we do.
Absolutely.
So that dealing with lag, and audio is always so much faster than video. And that's something, if you haven't done this before, you need to play with.
Yes.
Because your mic and your camera will be out of sync because the video is coming through as data slower than the audio is. Now, I can do this on OBS, or I can do it on my ATEM. I happen to do it on my ATEM that I build a 0.4 lag in. So I just have to remember to put the 0.4 in. I only set it up once and then save it. But if I had to redo it, so that the mic and the camera are in sync, so that my mouth isn't wandering off talking about things and people don't know what I'm saying. Hello, Sam.
Yes. Hey, Sam, how are you? There's a question here. Does vMix ever run special pricing? Most likely, yes. I think vMix will run special pricing around Black Friday. So do check it out, right? Like we are going to have a page around some of the Black Friday promotions and stuff. But yeah, do check it out.
Just remember, OBS is free.
Absolutely. OBS is free. So that
VCam's not free. vMix isn't free. OBS is free.
Very true. Yes, OBS is
Team OBS. Sorry, go on, Nilesh.
How expensive are some of the plugins, right? Like if you want to create like overlays.
Oh, donations.
Text
not
overlays.
Lots.
And are they pretty
Unless
easy
you're going,
to use?
Yeah. Well, I build my own text overlays. So
yes.
I'll use something. Actually, do you know Luma Fusion? Luma Fusion, you can build GIFs and you can build. Okay, so if you use Luma Fusion, you just put your strap in, and then I do a layer for each letter if I wanted to do something clever.
Yeah.
But there's also transitions built into OBS. But basically, my source is a file or text. So I won't go to it, but you can add a source which is text, and it will just put the text across the screen. You drag it down, you change the colors and the background, and then you've got text on your screen. Or I create a little video, and like an animated subscribe here and thumbs up sort of little animation. You can just create the animation in iMovie or Windows Movie Maker or Luma Fusion or whatever you want to use, and then save it and bring it in as a file. And then when you press the button, it will play it, and when you press it again, it will stop, and you can set whether you want it to loop or not loop and things like that. So it's pretty cool.
So you create most of your graph, like, or especially lower thirds, animated overlays in Luma Fusion?
If I'm doing a quick one-off, I just use OBS, and OBS has it built in.
Okay.
You just go to sources, add text, type the text in, move it to the bottom of the screen so it's a strap, and I don't know if this will work. This one.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, right. Okay. So that's got a little animation to it, so I can set that one up, I tend to make them in Final Cut or Luma Fusion's on my iPad, so I can do it when I'm watching crappy evening television, which I will never own up to watching. But if I was to watch it, I would have my iPad and I would play around with animating little twinkly stars or, whatever it is I want to do, and then do it as each twinkle as a layer, and then export it as a video, MP4. and then pull that into OBS and play it, drag it where I want it on the bottom of the screen, and play it as an animated lower third or transition screen or interstitial, whatever it is I want to do.
Yes.
But I would say again, it's iterative. Don't get caught up in, I've got to do a swishy lower third, guys, on your first live stream. You're clicking text source and typing in the name of your show and dragging it down the bottom of the screen and adding a basic fade in, fade out transition animation is going to be more than enough work for your first show. Later on, you can do little twinkly stars and whatever else it is you want to do.
Yes, absolutely. I think the first one, you want to keep it simple. Just probably have like an intro, and then have the scenes already created around. And the scenes totally depend on a few scenarios should cover your scenes. Like, first of all, you want to create a scene with just the host, which is you. You want to create a scene with host and a guest, which is in this case Laurel,
like this one,
right? And then you have a 2 guests, 1 host, and 3 guests, depending on what software you're using. And then you want to probably create some scenes with a screen share and the host and the guest on the side, or maybe at the bottom, right? So that's your scenes, and then you want to create an ending scene with some credits and things of that nature.
But not your first one. Your first one, you want to do 1 or 2 scenes.
Yes.
Because there's enough sources and everything to manage that. Later on, you get more and more and more scenes that you can add in. Your intro, your outro, bloopers reel, adding in like AppSumo videos do, like little animated GIFs, so that you know if you're going to hit a mark, you're going to say something that you can then play the GIF, of I'm not scared of anything, then play a clown GIF coming into the screen just to keep things alive for the viewers. But that would be much later on when you're sort of at you've got that sort of head. I think this is the hardest thing with live streaming, Nilesh. You'll know this as well, is that you have to keep focus on what you're saying and doing because it's live.
Yes.
You also have to keep focused on the dog barking in the background and what the rest of the family are doing. Right?
Yes, right here.
Poor old doggy.
Yeah.
Give him a big cuddle for me.
Yeah.
You also have to keep an eye on, if you're running studio mode, you're keeping an eye on the next thing that's coming up. So you've set up that you're going to switch to another camera, or you're going to switch to a little video clip, and you've got that. You can see that in studio mode. On OBS, you can have 2 screens. So you have the live one and the next one. So you've got that one set up. I'm also keeping an eye on my audio monitoring to make sure I'm not peaking or too low or it hasn't gone dead. I'm also keeping an eye on, I'm just trying to think, like if you're one of those people that can't multitask chewing gum and driving a car, you're going to struggle with live streaming, because you need to keep it so simple, because that it's a learned skill. You're not born being able to vision switch and take calls and talk to the camera and turn on videos and check audio, and you're not born doing it. I wasn't born doing it. I had to learn it. It was hard to learn, but I did it.
Yes. And I was like, should I just record videos? Should I do live streaming? But one of the things about creating content is, yes, with videos, you can, like, especially if you're doing a review or like, you have to process it. There is a lot of things which go into place with live streaming. Yes, you schedule it, you get your overlays, you go live, and it's there, right? You just need to do a few things around, go on YouTube and, add keywords and optimize it, but it's there. Like, that's your piece of valuable information which you wanted to create right there in that stream, right? I think it's the easiest way once you actually get it like going, like you'll find it live streaming as one of the most easiest way to produce good quality content.
By the way, if you look at Restream doesn't have, well, with Restream, you can set the title and the description. So we pre-write ours out and then copy them in. With Switchboard.live, which was on LTD and you can still get on LTD, I think in the reseller market, it has saved program functions. So for instance, my Monday program was the news and my Thursday program was lectures. So I wrote social media news and then I wrote in the description all the news from Facebook and Twitter, and I wrote out the whole description, and it held that. It saved it as a profile. And then on Thursdays, it would be social media lecture, and it would be for my students at the university, and then it would save that. And then it would save which channels went to which one. Because I'm always terrified I'm going to do a private or a semi-private, and I'm going to publish it on Twitter, so I make sure that each of the channels are set up. And I really wish Restream would bring that in, because it's a very nice feature that everything's pre-set up and saved. With my Restream, it's only saved from the previous one, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So what's this question?
Yeah, absolutely. It does make sense, Laurel. So there's a question here. Hi, I have been trying to get my Android screen to my screen on my Mac, but I have not been able to do it. Any ideas how I'm using
With
the
Huawei
P30 Pro? You can look into NDI tools. I think there is something called as NDI. I know there is an NDI HX camera for Android, so you can bring an Android camera into your stream.
No, you should just be able to use Sidecar. It's built in.
Oh, sorry, what's
Can't you
that?
use Sidecar? Sidecar.
I'm not sure. I don't. I'm iPhone.
My
user,
phone
yeah.
and my iPad connect automatically to my Mac.
No. I mean, he's using an Android phone though.
I know, but I thought that Sidecar worked with Androids. My partner's got Mac and a Huawei.
Yeah.
But it's a Sidecar for Android.
Yeah, or maybe check if there is an NDI tool for Android. And if there is an NDI tool...
Duet Display does it too. I've got Duet Display. That's an app. But I would definitely look up Apple Sidecar, because my understanding was it was supposed to be phone agnostic. And you could then run... The idea from the Apple developers was that you can run your Huawei as, for instance, a monitor for your Mac, or as a camera for your Mac, like a webcam or things like that. But I don't know what you're connecting, what you want to do with the Huawei once it's connected to the Mac. So for instance, if you want to connect it to OBS, you can do that by plugging it in, or maybe there's a Bluetooth solution. I'm not sure.
But why not do like NDI, right? Like if he has an NDI as a source, you can bring any NDI source into OBS, right?
Yes, I didn't know if he was talking about OBS or something else. Like sometimes people just want to run their Android as a second, like as a monitor. I sometimes run this as the separate monitor if I don't want to use the second screen, so that I can see what's going out live. So I don't know. He'd have to say what he wants to use it for. He wants to screencast the Android screen. Yep. Sidecar's built in, and I think that they've upgraded Sidecar, so now it does the same thing that the paid-for app Duet Display does. But so try Sidecar first, try Duet Display second, and then have a look at NDI as well. I don't know. I think if it's built in, you don't need NDI. That's all.
Okay. There is a comment here from Steve. I wonder if you could use Voicemeeter and Google Voice to do voice call-ins.
I was wondering about that. And then Google Voice took away my telephone number because I'm not in America.
Oh.
So much for being a global company. This is what happens when you're stuck in a provincial country down under. Thanks, Google. But yeah, good idea. I'll have another look and see if they've decided that we've joined the rest of the world yet.
Do you use a Rode podcaster, Laurel?
A podcaster.
Yeah, like one of those.
Libsyn. I use Libsyn.
Because the podcaster, you can bring a caller in using your phone or Bluetooth, and then just connect them into your as a guest.
Yeah. There used to be a podcasting service that gave out a number. The number was only live during the live, so that people could call in. And I also liked it because if you added a second person as a producer, they could talk to the person and make sure, I don't know, they weren't drunk and going to say rude things to you. Like KC Wong. So you could have a producer like vet the calls before they went on air.
Yeah.
And then they folded, which was so annoying because I was very interested in them. And it must be a difficult problem to solve because every platform, whether I'm talking about, let's have a podcast and have people call in and then we'll put it up, or I know a lot of people are using Discord. Yes, Discord. So you can have an audio channel on Discord and they call in, and then I've watched live shows stream the Discord so that somebody vets the question from the main group on Discord and pulls them into a private Discord, and the host is streaming video, but then takes caller number 3, come in, caller Mike, come in. If you don't respond in the next 20 seconds, we're going to the next caller. Bang, next caller. And it's that real talk show type of thing, but it's using Discord. It's all getting much too technical for me. What's Visor.io, Rohani?
Just the simplest one. Mac can be targeted.
Casey's upset now. Little wussy boy doesn't want to come on with us. It's all upset.
We'll try to do a display and also check sidecar.
Visor.io.
Visor. Okay, let me check. What is Visor.io? Rohani?
That's what I'm just looking up. A window to your phone.
Oh yeah. Okay, he's still talking about the app Sims.
Yeah, looks like it. Visor puts your iOS or Android on your desktop. Yeah, but like I said, I just use Sidecar. And I know it's possible, so I don't know if Sidecar will do it or not. What else do we have here? Pamela's here. Hello,
Pamela's
Pamela.
here. Hi, Pamela. Visor puts your iOS and Android on your desktop. Okay. So I have tried Visor last night, Rohani Rabin, but the audio goes to my Mac speakers, but it then cancels out the audio from my phone.
Right. So that's pretty common. There is a bug with Macs that the Mac will often hijack. Like, for instance, I struggle with AirPods because the Mac often wants to hijack it as the mic. And so instead of using my lovely Blackmagic and Rode mic setup, Procaster mic setup, I end up with this really tinny voice because the Mac decided to override everything else and just go with AirPods, even though I've selected Blackmagic in all the audio settings. So there are some things where the Mac hijacks what audio comes in and out. The audio goes to my Mac speakers. So I turn my speakers off. I always turn my speakers off. But it then cancels out the audio from my phone Oh, so you can't hear the audio from the phone. I don't know what it's connecting to. So you'd need to set up audio channel as well as the video channel.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
You need to do the Mac audio settings, and there's something you have to do in system preferences audio. I had to do the same thing with the VB cables to tell it to override it, and it was input or output. Input VB cable. Multi-output device VB, aggregate device. So go and Google that. And I can't explain it to you, but it's multi-output device VB is the sound output. And then the type is aggregate device. So you'll see type is headphone port or built-in port or virtual for VB cable, but aggregate device. And there's a whole mess of things you've got to set up. I followed instructions that I found on Google, and it gave me back control of how to. I think what aggregate device means, it means like this mic and this mic, or this mic and this camera, like it lets you put them together. But I don't remember. I did it ages ago and it worked, and I bookmarked the site and then I forgot about it. So reason being, you will have echoes. Yeah, that's why I turn off audio monitoring and I turn the mics off, the speakers off. Who here is, can you guys put your hand up or give me a thumbs up or wave or something in the comments? Who here is going to try and have a look at OBS, download it for free and set it up and see if you can figure a few things out?
Do you produce a lot of videos using OBS as well? Like, I mean, not just live streaming, right? But recording as well.
Yep.
I
was just
if you
thinking
create
that.
your scenes, if you have your overlays, right? I think the best way to create a recorded video as well would be through a software like OBS, because you can
think
add all
it depends on your sensibilities and your creativity. So as an example,
yes,
I create a lot of videos for my online courses. I've got like 60 courses. Each course has got masses of videos in them. And, I didn't do all 60 courses in the first year. I've done them over 15 years. I'm not that mad. But my days of sitting down and scripting things and then doing a shot list. So a shot list is at the 2-minute mark, switch the camera and talk to the other camera about blah, blah, blah. And at the 3-minute mark, switch the camera. And I'm much more free flowing than that.
yes.
So there's two things I like to do. One is I like to do a live and then maybe cut that down and take all my ums and ahs and mistakes out of it.
How do you take that out?
That's one of the.
Do you use Descript?
Well, one of the with I don't do this, but with DaVinci Resolve, because it pulls in all the sources from Blackmagic. They're just sitting there, so you can edit them. I have recorded to a hard drive from the Blackmagic and pulled it into Final Cut, and then edited, done multi-camera switching between those. Typically, though, one of the reasons I do like OBS is that I talk to the camera like we're talking now, and I've got my Stream Deck in front of me so I can hit the buttons, and then I don't really do much editing. If I look at it and I realize I've put the wrong screen up or I've switched backwards or forwards a few times, I might cut that bit out. I just pause, do it again, and then I can cut the previous bit out. But OBS is really good for that.
I mean, like your filler words, like ums and ahs. I've got too many, right? Like I use like with something like Descript.
And I use Final Cut.
Just like you would actually go and listen to it and then edit it manually, you mean? Or is there like a plugin you use?
I don't really listen because I don't like my voice. So I what you can do on Final Cut is put the video in which has the sound attached to it, the audio, and then I manipulate the audio so it's not peaking too much, not too many red spikes, and it's not too low, because mine can be low. And then I look for the gaps, and I just B for blade. I blade at the beginning of the gap and the beginning of the gap. So if I paused,
Yes.
that was a little demonstration of it.
Yes.
There's a flat audio, right? So I just go blade, blade, and it cuts the pauses out. And I can usually tell when I'm umming because of the way the wave forms. So I just listen to that bit and slice BB, slice. It's annoying, but it takes about 15 minutes in a 10-minute video or 15-minute video.
That's not bad. Yeah. For me, I use Descript. I mean, I would just take this video, upload it in Descript, and it will show me all the places where I've used filler words. And just with one click, it will edit it, adjust the video, and give me the file back. Right? Then I said,
that's cheating, Nilesh. That's cheating. I want it. Is it on lifetime deal?
Descript is not, but I do have a 30-day free trial for it from the Ecamm community. So if you do want it, I can send you the.
Maybe you can give it to the group. Can you give it to the group?
I'm pretty sure I can.
Maybe they want to try it too.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I can. So Descript, certainly I can. There is a lot of good things about Descript, actually. It also transcribes the text. And then with Ecamm, I'm able to isolate the audio. So I'm going to repurpose it into a podcast.
I have Happy Scribe. Happy something.
It's amazing. Happy Scribe is a really good platform.
I stacked that one. I liked
It's very accurate. I mean, I find Happy Scribe to be a lot more accurate when it comes to transcribing than Descript. So Descript costs me about $30 a month. It's about $24 a month if you pay yearly. And Happy Scribe has a lot more accuracy in transcribing. And that probably depends a little bit on your accent and things of that nature. I mean,
I don't have an accent.
No, you don't. I'm talking about me.
I'm keeping up with an Australian accent. But with Happy Scribe, so people say, transcription, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, YouTube will do it for free.
Yeah.
And Google puts all of its AI behind the YouTube transcription and has billions of videos to learn from. Like it's an iterative learning transcription. So why wouldn't you use that? And then when I looked in, so I've never used transcription besides YouTube. Upload the video privately, go and have a cup of tea. By the time you come back, you can download the SRT file, edit it if you need to, and then you've got it. The beautiful thing with Happy Scribe, which I did not understand the SEO value to it, is that once you've done the video once, and that's your cost, that's your credits, that's your number of minutes per month, you've got to keep an eye on those. The language translation is free. So now I can download the SRT for Arabic, for Spanish, for Chinese, for Italian, whatever, all of them if I want to. And then I upload those to my YouTube videos so that people can play the proper transcription, the corrected transcription in, if I have to correct it, I re-upload it and then I get the proper transcription. And it's now available in those languages. And Google/YouTube knows that you did a manual edit of the language SRTs and therefore values those SRTs. What's SRT stand for? I call it closed captions. It's can somebody clever tell me what SRT stands for, or Google it and tell us and pretend you knew all along? But that idea that you can upload the text file with the timestamps on it, which is how that's how captions work. That's how subtitles work. I didn't realize the value of having the multiple languages. So when I do a lecture or tutorial now, particularly for the ones that I do that are like social media for government, we are in the process of putting them all into Happy Scribe and then downloading multiple languages, because I do get work with government in other countries that speak other languages. So I want it to be available in Bahasa so I can work in Malaysia and Singapore and Indonesia and things like that.
That's very interesting, Laurel. That's you bring up an entirely different point to this whole conversation. So from OBS, we have moved a little bit into the whole SEO and the value of Happy Scribe. But I have Happy Scribe, right? I haven't looked at it in that sense. Have you been able to have you been using it? Like, have you been able to transcribe into different and then translate it into different languages, your SRD file, and then
yes.
So
it's getting better all the time.
How many languages would you translate it into?
That's a good question, because we're about to go back and add all the other ones because they keep coming out with new ones. Languages, transcription. And I don't always do it when the language first comes out because they're a bit rough, but they get better as time goes on. Because it uses AI. So it's got to learn, right? And I don't want it to learn 120 languages, dialects, and accents.
Yes.
So I would say that's enough for me. There wasn't 120 when I bought it, but I had a feeling it was going to go pretty big on that. I need to get back into it as well. Well, here's the thing. With live streams, they're either evergreen or they're yesterday's news. And so when I do social media news, nobody's interested in the news from February. I did a whole bunch of lives in February 2021, even in 2020, and nobody wants to see them because that news is old news. And so I don't see the point. I'm still arming and ahhing about this. I don't see the point in transcribing those into multiple languages, because by the time the video's gone up, by the time, it takes a little while to wait for the transcription to happen and then download it and then re-upload it and then have it indexed by Google, we're 2 weeks on, especially with me and how slow I am on getting things done on time. My intention from 2021 is actually to hire a virtual assistant who simply does that, because Happy Scribe will pull it in from YouTube. So I will, the minute it goes up on YouTube, message the VA and say, pull that into Happy Scribe, check the English translation, English transcription, that it's all correct it, re-upload it, hit a button to say these 20 languages. I don't need 120 dialects, but I will need the main ones. Download those files, put them, and then upload them to YouTube or put them in a Dropbox so I can upload them or whatever. But if it's up to me to do it, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't. I've got to play World of Warcraft sometime during the day.
So that's the subrip subtitle file. That's what SRST is. Laurel, Gaurav is here.
Subrip. Oh, okay.
Have you talked to Gaurav? Gaurav is the founder of Grove.app. It's on AppSumo. Grove.
Grove. I had a look at Grove and I was very interested in purchasing it. And then I realized when I looked at the examples, they were very legal documents. And I was trying to think about how mine would work. And I've got proposals software and that kind of thing. So Gaurav, if you've got an idea about how a social media strategist could create, I think it's personalized PDFs, isn't it? You've got name fields and date fields and like
personalized documents. Personalized documents. So you
have you used it, Nilesh?
I have used it a little bit. I've actually I've talked to Gaurav. Like, we've had a couple of conversations. He has been on our live stream. He joined our stream. He was even very generous to offer Grove to people who would use it and just like, give an honest opinion about it as well. So he did a lot of that. And I think it's a very, very promising application. He's always taking a lot of feedback from the community, and he's always improving. So there is a lot of potential. Now, there are certain legal things which they haven't done yet, but I think that's something which they're working on. Like, for example, things around valid e-signatures, right? Like, I mean, there are certain specific laws, and it needs to be legally, a valid signature, right? So how would you do that, right? Like, if I sign in Grove, would that be a legally valid signature? If for some reason my agreement goes into court, it is not going to, but you need to be prepared for the worst scenario. So those are the things which I think they're still taking care of, but that's in the works, I hear. And when it is done, yes, I'm sure.
I have I use Nusi proposals, and I just have a template of a proposal. I have one. Like that's one of the questions I have is, if you just have one document, is there and that when I looked at Grove, I was thinking that it's like, if I had lots and lots and lots of templates to send out, then maybe it would be worth it. But when you've got one, I don't know. I do need something that's document management of some kind. Like, I'd like to be able to send out clients cheat sheets, and before they come to a Zoom with me, they've got certain things they have to do before they come to the first one. Then after the first one, they've got homework, and I'm continually looking around for the documents going, is it the latest version? And I have to and then I physically email them an attachment, and they're like, can't we just do this online? And I'm like, I have to set up some kind of form. I bought.
Yeah.
You know how I said I wasn't going to buy anything before Black Friday? Wow.
It's, with
I'm still buying things.
with proposals, like with proposal softwares, right? Like, that's one of them. Like, I'm really, really picky when it comes to proposals, because when I started my company, I wanted to do something where I was competing with very, very large companies, and when I sent something to a customer, I wanted that document to stand out. I looked at so many different proposal platforms, and I've had this conversation with Gaurav at some stage. I've also thought about having my own platform for proposals, right? That's something which I've thought about as well. But one of the most popular proposal platforms, one of my favorite proposal platforms which I've ever used, is an Australian company called Quiller. Have you heard of it, Laurel?
Quiller.
Yeah.
Quiller. With a Q or K?
Yeah, with a Q.
Quiller, no?
Really, really good proposal platform. It's not cheap. And I have something in mind which I wanted to do something very similar, because but I come from a technical background. So from a Cisco perspective, I want to integrate Cisco proposals into a proposal platform. So like very complex projects with like routing, switching, UCS systems. But anyway, different topic for a different day. But Quiller is
the only thing is that people get caught up. I always think people who, and I work with a lot of small businesses, and they get caught up in copyright, trademark, and then the whole e-signature and accepting of proposals, because in a sense that's a contract. And this is the thing that I've discovered, and I have a patent as well, is if you don't have the funds to pursue it, it doesn't matter. Just do it on a handshake. Because if they're going to walk away and break the contract, you better be prepared to sell your house to chase them. Yes. Like, I had a government contract, and the government person told me, the person who hired you, who signed the contract, has left. We're not honoring it. And I'm like, you have to, because she didn't sign it for herself. She signed it for you. No, we're not honoring it. And I went through a debt collection agency and a couple of other things. They ignored it. And then I spoke to my accountant, and she's like, now, do you want to sue the government? I'm like, okay. So, the contracts are not worth the paper that they're not written on if you can't pursue them. Another one is I have a patent in algorithmic generated currencies, which I took out in 2005. It's an activity-based currency system. And this was a good 3.5 years before Bitcoin, so way before Bitcoin. And every so often I look at that patent and it's like this thick and it's being listed in Singapore and all these different places. And I think, man, I could make a lot of money today if I had the money to pursue people who are now billionaires. Like you're up against this wall of we'll screw them. Yeah. And the third one is I know a company, a Melbourne company in Australia who created a game called something like Mafia Wars for the iPhone.
Yes.
And then a very well-known company that I have no respect for. I've actually seen some leaked videos of the CEO saying how he sells everybody's data. But they completely reverse engineered, ripped off that app. And when the guy took them to court, I think he got costs, which would have been in the millions, and maybe $1 million. But when I looked at the advertising revenue that company, which starts with Z, makes, they make $1 million a minute. Like literally it's their lunch money. And they paid next to nothing to him, but he had to fight. He had to mortgage his house. So I'm not belittling signatures. But when my contracts with clients are $2,000 and $3,000 and $5,000, not $500,000 or billions of dollars, then I know that they're just going to pat me on the head and say, sure, go ahead and sue us, Laurel. We need, we want to laugh. Go ahead, do it.
No, you are absolutely right. I'm not, but so the kind of projects which we do, they are typically professional services, and there is a hardware component into it, right? So I'm working with companies, and if I'm billing like $300,000 for hardware and another $100,000 for professional services,
you can't carry that. I know.
I would be screwed if the company does not pay $300,000 for the hardware. So I have to make sure that there is a contract in place and it is legally binding kind of thing, right?
And like I said, I worked with Cisco in professional services in Asia, and we had $1 billion contract with the Japanese government to roll out Cisco First in Field Engineering. So, but then again, nobody would do that to Cisco because Cisco would smash them like little ants. It's just in this case, I'm the ant.
So am I. Yes, Laura.
I am an ant, though, that will bite and yell and scream on Twitter and Facebook. And I've even spoken at conferences, at government conferences, and managed to really subtly work in how government doesn't pay small business and the issues that I've had. And people go, oh, that's terrible. But not one person said to me, let me find out about this and fix it for you. They just say, oh, it's terrible. It's how government works. So, no, I understand. And especially I don't carry that cost because I'm consulting and mentoring and coaching normally. So I don't have, if somebody cancels me and doesn't pay me, it's usually an hour gone, maybe a bit more. I don't know. That's it. That's my risk assessment, an hour's work.
Yes. Laurel, that was fantastic. I think we should close it off with any other tips you want to give on OBS Studio. What would you advise people?
Okay, I think the first one that I want to say is minimal viable product, people, or it's always about the MVP. I put up that video the other day of how to set up a WordPress website with one page on it. You just got to get something up. You got to get your toe in the water with the live stream. And I'm saying this as much to myself as anybody else because I'm one of those people that will play with the tech all day and all night, but actually won't press the button to go live. So, if OBS is overwhelming, don't use OBS. Just go live with your phone directly into Facebook and see how you go. And then from MVP, then it's iterative, it's agile. Add one new thing in each week. And sometimes I want to add in 10 things. I write the 10 things down and then I add one in each week. I want to try a new microphone. Okay, I want to try a green screen. Okay, I want to try a lower third or an interstitial or a soundtrack or laugh track or whatever it is. But I don't do them all in 1 week because then it just feels overwhelming and I don't want to do it again. It gave me a headache. So MVP, and then iterative, try. And also you have to do things more than once, like give it time to bloom, to flourish.
Yes.
You have to bloom, you have to flourish, because doing it once and then saying that didn't work, nobody watched it and it was terrible and I hated it and walking away, that's the kind of tantrum you're allowed to have maybe 2 minutes on. And trust me, I use those 2 minutes very well. I throw a big tantrum.
Yeah.
I'm never doing this again. It doesn't work. I hate it. What made me ever think I could do this? And then go back and reset everything up. Write your notes. Write down what worked, what didn't, what you want to include next time, and try it again. So really, 3 things. Minimal viable product. Get something basic up and running. Iteratively develop. Improve it every single week. And don't cry, throw a tantrum and say it doesn't work the first time, because it won't work the first time.
Yes, and we have some notes which we can share as well, like with so things, very, very small things. Like before, when the first time you're doing a live, it's extremely important that, of course, you go and practice it on some page and, how does it all look. But number one thing is, when the first time you're going live in like a community, is like set a timer, go live, track your post, and make sure that you are live, right? Because a lot of things can happen.
Or get a friend to sit in as well.
Yeah.
Because you may not have the headspace to be doing the live and keeping one eye on Facebook. It's not an easy thing to do. So I ask people to check. And then I'll say to them, I'm going on at 10 o'clock. Can you make sure you can hear me? Because, of course, like I said, I spoke for 1 hour without the audio being turned on. How embarrassing is that? Hi, I'm the expert.
That's funny. Pamela has a question here. She's saying, have you done a live on TikTok?
No, but I'm going to. I'm going to because I've got clients that want to go on TikTok. I love TikTok. It's actually multi-generational. I really love the grandparents on TikTok. So people think it's a young person's thing. It's because my audience are primarily Australian, it's a very Australian platform in the sense of we lean more towards goofy than we do towards the Instagram perfect life, Californian lifestyle. We're much more goofy. So the kind of goofy dancing, if you ever watch Australian TV, they're all of our ads, all of our TV shows. We're just goofy all the time. So it fits the vibe of the Australian, which doesn't actually like what we call tall poppies. We don't like Instagram influencers or, that kind of polished life. I've been collecting a lot of TikTok brands that are doing really well. So if you're trying to find the business use for TikTok, have a look at the Washington Post. They do a really good, funny behind the scenes at WashPo. And it's not a serious newspaper look, but it's all filmed at Washington Post. Quite a lot of our Australian football clubs, sports, but footy clubs are on there. There's quite a big sector in emergency services, fireys, ambulance drivers who will do sing-alongs and things. And I have a number of organizations under health and government that I think need to be shown that as well, so that they've got some ideas about how they could be creative and compelling on TikTok. Don't assume TikTok is for 15-year-olds. It's not. There's lots of mums on there. The grandparents are trying to embarrass the grandkids, and the mums are on there just being mums and dancing around in the kitchen and things like that. So that's lots of fun. But have I been on TikTok? No. But I'll tell you what, Pamela, if you go on TikTok, I'll go on TikTok. If you go live, I'll go live. She's going to tell me she's already done it.
We should go on TikTok and do like a silly live, like an LTD comedy kind of show.
We get Casey Wong to write it because he's the comedian.
Yes.
And then once it's scripted, we'll do a dance and a song called the Lifetime LTD, Lifetime Dance Deal Dancers or something. Who wants to see Laurel doing cool moves in TT? Not me, that's for sure. I don't think I answered your question, Pamela, but the answer is no, I haven't done it. Yes, I can see good reasons for doing it. And maybe it's the same as with OBS and all the other lives. I always sit there and go, I don't want to do this. And then I sit down and I get interested in the tech behind it. What will make this work? What won't make this work? How does the algorithm work? Does TikTok have analytics? Does it have advertising? Does it have this? So I put all those parts of the puzzle together first, anything to delay actually doing it. And then I pick something and I go, actually, that thing I can do. And it might not be the most popular dance of the day, but it might be something else that I can do. EduTalk. This is something that I think you guys that run online courses and have been thinking about online courses to supplement your consulting businesses. EduTalk, TikTok has made a real commitment towards educational talks. So look for any of the hashtags to do with EduTalk. And there's painting classes, pottery classes. There's even a perfume class on TikTok about perfumes. So you don't have to do the mum doing a silly dance with the tea towel on her head. You can actually go on and learn things on TikTok. And I like that because I'm passionate about edu-social. Silly social media is fine and competitions and goofiness and things like that. But I really like edu-social, that idea that we can use social media to educate people, not just say to them, buy this, but let me help you make the world a better place by showing you the things that you can do. And you can be successful by learning these things. And that's one of the reasons why I like these lives in this group, because it's dedicated to those kind of things. Pamela wants to do a duet.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I really, really, haven't explored much into TikTok, but I should. It is a very powerful platform, and we should do something around that, Laurel. Like maybe we can plan and get a few people and do something for sure in TikTok Live.
Okay, I'll be up for that. I think we need to figure out what exactly.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So I know if I can actually do it.
Yes.
I'm the clumsiest person on the planet, but there we go. We can do something. And like I said, it doesn't have to be silliness, but I think silliness would be fun. Yeah. There is one thing that I do like, and that's where they do the handoff. I think it's called handoff, and we could do that virtually. So we film different things and then we hand off to the next person who then does the next bit and then hand off. So when that's scripted, that always looks interesting when it comes back around again. And because it's virtual, it's sort of, you do something, you're pulling something in from this side and passing it across to another side, and you can do, I've seen those on TikTok. Anyway, just an idea. If anybody has a brilliant idea, maybe let Nilesh know.
Yes, definitely.
I knew Casey was going to say that. I just knew it.
I think I think, Laurel, we are touching 2 hours. So I'll let you go back and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And
Thank you.
It's probably, what, 2 p.m. almost?
Yes, on the dot. 2 p.m. on the dot in Sydney. Where is it? Where are you and what time is it where you are?
I am based in Toronto, Canada, so it's 10 p.m. right now.
10 p.m. Okay.
Yes, and it's a Saturday night, so I still have the Sunday to myself. I'm probably going to stream maybe later on or tonight, but thank you, Laurel. I mean, lots of great tips and good talk, and I'm sure a lot of people will find this useful, especially those who are starting, and then maybe we can do a little bit more deep dive. If you get stuck, maybe we can do a follow-up session with Laurel as well. Laurel, I really appreciate you sharing all the knowledge.
Very welcome.
Things with the community. We certainly value.
Thank you for inviting me. I
inputs
really
and posts.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
And
Laurel.
thanks for everybody for participating. Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you so much. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks.